Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're unpacking a truly wild thought experiment from our source materials. We're looking at a systemic blueprint for a future society that completely rips out the concept of money and replaces it with merit points and hard ecological limits. It is a radical reimagining of how we live, work, and consume.
We'll be moving quickly today. First, a world without money, then we'll hit the binary lifestyle reality, how lived experiences are valued, governance and social tensions, and finally, the ultimate ecological ceiling.
Part 1. A world without money, or the economy of metals.
All right, to really get this model, you've got to completely scrap the idea of a bank account. Seriously, forget it. Instead, this society uses the decentralized global resource ledger built entirely on labor points. Money is gone, meritocratic points are in. A maintenance worker, which is considered low skill, banks 50 points a year. A mid-skill service worker pulls in 100 points. And a high-skill contributor, like a surgeon or maybe an elite athlete, hits the max at 200 points. But here's the kicker. No matter what tier you're in, everybody is chasing the exact same finish line, a 400-point gold card.
So, that magic number, 400 points, is the precise cost of a 2-year gold card. And this card is literally the key to the kingdom. It unlocks every luxury perk, prime real estate, and premium service out there. You aren't buying things to own them forever, though. You're buying temporary, 2-year access to the absolute best the world has to offer.
Moving on to Part 2, the binary lifestyle reality. Think of this as a culture of sprint and rest.
Imagine a life split perfectly down the middle. On one side, you've got bronze. This tier guarantees a dignified, automated, completely functional baseline for literally everyone. High-tech, super secure, and entirely free. It's a fundamental human right. On the flip side is gold. This is pure luxury. We're talking premium villas, gourmet food, the works. But it has to be continuously earned. And remember, it expires every 2 years.
Now, the psychological pressure this creates is fascinating. What happens if your gold card expires? Well, you aren't just tossed out on the street. You get a very strict 90-day grace period in your luxury villa. But, and it's a big but, your services, like that gourmet chef or private transport, instantly drop down to the basic bronze level. You've got exactly 90 days to hustle, hit 400 points, and flip the luxury switches back on. If you don't, you pack up and move back to functional bronze housing. It really is a relentless sprint and rest.
But what about the massive outliers? Say, a world-class swimmer crushing it at the World Aquatics Finals in Beijing in 2026. Well, step 1 is hitting that elite achievement. Step 2? Boom, they get a massive instant point injection. We're talking 500 to 1,000 points all at once. Step 3, accelerated retirement. Reaching the absolute pinnacle of their field essentially fast-tracks them, meaning they could theoretically retire into permanent gold status in their mid-20s. Crazy, right?
Part 3, valuing the lived experience and rethinking infrastructure data.
You know, traditional technocracies often fall into this trap of cold, mechanical utilitarianism, treating human beings like cogs in a giant machine. Not here. In this blueprint, lived experience is the ultimate resource. Let's say a disabled citizen is testing an autonomous transit cabin. They aren't treated as a charity case. Their feedback is fed directly into a co-design loop and logged as ecosystem-critical research. Because their unique physical perspective is absolutely crucial to making algorithms work for real, varied humans, they get paid at the absolute top tier, 200 points per year.
And what about folks who just can't participate in the labor or co-design force at all? That's where the humanitarian safeguard kicks in. Profound disability or simply hitting the age of 65 instantly triggers a lifetime gold card. No expiration date. This rule essentially anchors the society's moral fabric. It officially uncouples human dignity from economic utility. Your luxury is permanently locked on for one simple reason: you're human.
Part 4. Governance and social tensions. Let's look at local control and grievances.
Obviously, no society is a flawless utopia, right? It's a living, breathing ecosystem with friction. This decentralized meritocracy lets local communities define their own version of luxury. So gold doesn't just mean a cookie-cutter mansion everywhere. Down on the coast, gold could mean a private boat slip. Up in the mountains, maybe it's priority ski access. And to stop the tiers from completely isolating from each other, there's forced integration. A high-end restaurant might allocate 70% of its tables for gold and silver holders, but they are strictly mandated to keep 30% open for bronze baseline citizens. It forces social cohesion.
So, let's talk about the tension between these groups. Mid-scale service workers really need to avoid complaints if they want to earn those retirement points. This gives gold holders an immense amount of power through what's called the formal grievance life cycle. If a service is lousy, a gold holder logs a ticket. The system then pulls sensor data to investigate. If the worker is at fault, they might lose a point bonus, which directly delays their retirement. Meanwhile, the gold holder gets a restitution credit, like an extra month added to their luxury card.
Now, you're probably thinking, doesn't giving the elite that much power create a massive Karen phenomenon, where entitled gold holders just bully low-skill workers? Absolutely. So, to balance the scales, the system has the reverse review. Organizations can rate the gold holders right back. If someone is consistently abusive, they get hit with a social demotion. They keep their card, but their grievance weight drops to absolute 0 for 6 months. Basically, you have to show mutual respect or your complaints suddenly mean nothing.
All of this point-chasing, luxury management, and social balancing sounds like a well-oiled machine day to day. But here's the elephant in the room. What happens when the planet's budget just runs out? That brings us to the hardest, most unbending rule in the whole blueprint. Part 5. The ultimate ecological ceiling. The global carbon budget.
In this final layer, financial costs don't exist. They're completely replaced by systemic physical limits. Every single luxury perk is tied directly to a hard, unforgiving global carbon budget. When the budget cycle resets, it's a mad dash. There's this early cycle rush where citizens with 400 points race to claim their villas and flights while the carbon pool is full. But by mid-cycle, that budget is draining fast, and eventually the ledger hits 0. And when that happens, the entire cultural landscape shifts overnight.
When it hits 0, the system instantly triggers the luxury drought. All luxury services globally shut down, period. In a split second, your private autonomous transit locks its doors. Gourmet chefs put their knives down. During this drought, it literally does not matter if you have 1,000,000 points or the highest social credit score on Earth. The laws of physics take over. Everyone, gold, silver, and bronze alike, is forced back down to the functional bronze baseline until the planet's cycle resets.
Think about what a massive behavioral shift this is. Today, under traditional capitalism, the elite are often the biggest polluters, simply because they can afford to pay the fines. But in this new blueprint, the elite are transformed into radical carbon hawks. They actively police everyone else's carbon waste, and they demand ultra-efficient luxury designs. Why? Because any systemic inefficiency drains the global budget faster, which directly robs them of their own luxury window before the drought hits.
Ultimately, we get this incredibly uncompromising equilibrium. Bronze, which represents basic survival and human dignity, is always free and it never caps. It's an untouchable right. Gold, the luxury tier, is also technically free financially, but it has a hard shutoff. Access to the planet's surplus isn't dictated by wealth, it's strictly bound by the raw laws of ecology.
By blending these precise, unforgiving resource limits with profound humanitarian safeguards, like those lifetime cards for the disabled and guaranteed housing for everyone, the source texts are proposing something pretty profound. They're suggesting we could intentionally design an economy where efficiency serves humanity rather than the other way around.
It's a wild blueprint, right? It challenges absolutely everything we know about status, money, and consumption. As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with one final provocative thought to chew on. Are we truly prepared for a reality where the hard, uncompromising laws of ecology forcefully dictate the absolute limits of our personal luxury? Thanks for hanging out with me for this deep dive. Keep questioning the systems around you, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.